Let me just start out by saying that it's okay to discipline your children.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Amen.
okay to say no to your children. Discipline is a good thing. The Bible talks about discipline in many areas of life. Disciplining your children just being one of them. And I want to start tonight by reading Hebrews 12:11 through 13. It says, "Now all discipline seems to be more painful than pleasure at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character, bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield it." So even though discipline isn't always easy, if you put in the time and the consistency, you will reap a harvest with your children. Think of a seed. When you plant a seed, you have to be consistent with that seed. It's not just going to sprout up right away, but it's the consistency of the watering and everything that goes along with it. So just like the scripture says, consistent with discipline, not fun at first, but you will get a harvest of righteousness and peace in your children.
Right. And that verse also goes on to say that the Lord disciplines those he loves.
So when there is a lack of discipline, where God uses words like hate and foolishness. Mm-hmm. These are things, as parents, we love our kids. We don't want, to be, in God's eyes, looked at as hating them or raising fools.
If we don't do it, somebody will have to. Somebody is going to have to tell your kids no.
Yeah. Right.
And you want that to be you.
Right.
We will approach this with love, this topic, but I don't want to skate over those verses by just saying, oh, he who withholds the rod and keep going, because we are talking about spanking them. Right. And sometimes it's with your hand, sometimes it's with a wooden spoon or whatever. But we understand that not everybody is going to like this. But we are speaking the truth in love from Scripture. And I just want to make that clear so that we make sure we're on the same page there. Mm-hmm. But
right. We're all moms and we tend to do day-to-day things differently.
Yeah.
Some moms are give their kids McDonald's and some moms are don't you McDare. But when it comes to Scripture, I've actually heard that.
I feel like we
don't
need
you McDare.
Like
I won't, I promise. But when it comes to Scripture, really you can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if it clearly says, I actually have Proverbs 22:15 written down as well, there's really no way to say, and I say this truthfully and in love, I believe everything in the word, everything, but then you say things like, and this is very big in the church, well, spanking doesn't work. I would think if it wasn't working with my child, it's not being done correctly. I've seen many instances where it's, discipline hurts. Spanking is supposed to hurt. It's supposed to be painful. It's not pleasant. The word says that. However, the reward and the boundaries that come with it. It's very important to not just close a book or close the Bible and say, well, I just don't like what that has to say and it's not going to work for me. Really take it to God and ask him how to discipline your children.
That's good. God has given us the responsibility to raise up these kids in his name. So if we are not disciplining them because we don't want to hurt them, not talking about beating and abusing, because we don't want to use a wooden spoon when that may be what your kid needs.
Yeah.
We, in a way, are not honoring what God has given us to raise up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Well, here's something to tip you off too. We all would agree at this table that society today, America 2020, is upside down and flipped backwards, and Satan has his head in it. Anything that society is going to push and tell you to do is going to be the opposite of what God is going to tell you to do. And society today says, do not spank your children. Whereas statistics have shown throughout the years how it has gotten progressively worse from taking that discipline away.
Yeah. Wow.
So if society's coming at you and saying something, it's a cue as a Christian to say, this is probably not of God. And I need to take this and read my word, digest it, and ask God to help me figure it out, because God himself, he doesn't ignore our tantrums and he doesn't plop us in timeout.
Right.
He deals with us and he disciplines us because he loves us.
Our culture often tells us not even to say no.
Right.
To our kids.
Right.
Like not even use the word.
Not even use the word no.
Right.
But we are teaching them one, to be respectful,
Right.
to grow up to be respectful, functioning humans.
Mm-hmm.
But we are teaching them to obey God. If they can't obey you in a simple act of go put your shoes on,
Right.
or go pick up your toys,
Right.
we're not doing a good job at laying the foundation for things that God may ask way bigger
Right.
at some point in their life. We are, by honoring us, we are teaching them to honor the Lord.
And I go back to this scripture, and I recently found it in a new translation that I love. It's Proverbs 23:13-14. It says, "Don't withhold appropriate discipline from your child. Go ahead and punish them when they need it. Don't worry, it won't kill him. A good spanking could be the very thing that teaches them a lifelong lesson." And so I always just try to, and you don't get it right every time. I'm not a perfect parent, but I try to constantly and consistently go back to the Bible. And I think that's where a lot of parents, if we could help parents, it would be consistent.
God chose you to be their mother. And I want the best success for you and for your children, because your children is my future. I mean, they are our future. So we're saying this at a place where, come join us. Let's be allies on this topic. Let's get in our word and compare and get our children. We need the more soldiers, and it's so cheesy, but it's true. In God's army, we need them to be raised up. And now is the time, and it's our job. It is scary. But we can change that as moms. We have the tool. We have the word. We have the scripture. We have the means to do it. And again, if you're watching and your child's a little older and, well, I didn't do it, you can still do things.
I was going to say that.
You can still hone in. And because let me tell you something, I'm 37 and I'm still not going to disrespect my mom or dad. It's never too late.
As my kids get older, I find that I am spanking them less.
Right.
Because for some of them, there are other things that hurt more. So I will maybe gravitate towards other things for some of my kids. And I think the biggest thing with them is the consistency. They are getting disciplined when they deserve it. So
Yeah. Well, and I also, before we close out, I feel like the question is brought to me a lot of like, well, when do you start disciplining your kids? From the womb, people, from the womb. But no, I'm serious. I think that it can be it's a gradual thing. Right now, I have an 8-year-old and I have an 18-month-old, and I feel like with Monty, it started when he's kicking his legs to get his diaper changed.
He's your 18-month-old.
Right, he's my 18-month-old.
Clarify.
Swat his thigh, slap his hand
how
if
old
he's
was he?
going for the I would say about 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months, swat on the thigh. If that didn't work, the swat got harder. And then it was the hand. If they're reaching for an outlet, you're going to swat their hand. They're not allowed. And then, now it's my hand, and my hand works for him, but I know it's not going to work for long, and then I'll go to the spoon. It has to sting a bit. Because that's the way God disciplines us. He's not rubbing our backs and stroking our hair. He's gonna make it count. So that we hope that you received this from a place of love, from a place of biblical truth. We want you to reach out to us. If you have questions, if you want to go deeper with any of us, please do so. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget that you are part of this sisterhood. You got this, and we got your back.